Assalamu alaikum, Pakistan. This is Haider Mehdi, and this is Voice of Free Pakistan, the voice of Free Pakistan for overseas Pakistanis inside and outside Pakistan, and for Pakistanis inside Pakistan. Our weekly roundup in English with my dear special guest, Dr. Zafar Bankis. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Zafar Bankis, and welcome to the program, sir.
Walaikum salam, Heather, and my salams to all your viewers and listeners.
Thank you very much, sir. We're sorry we were unable to do it for the last 2 weeks because of lots was happening, and I think Ramadan also came in and it kind of upset our schedule. But this is our weekly program, short, crisp, brief, hopefully 15, 20 minutes, not more than that, to try and cover what happened in the last week in Pakistan for those who are more comfortable in understanding what's happening in Pakistan in English. Dr. Mangesh, the mandate theft is ongoing, is still ongoing. The mandate theft of the people of Pakistan in the assembly, uh, National Assembly and the Provincial Assembly election. And I want to start with that, and then we'll like to discuss briefly what happened with Donald Lu in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the EU's report on Pakistan's election rigging, and if we have time, we'll discuss about Gaza. So I just want to share this with you. This is an extremely important. This is an official uh, release from the Pakistan Tehreek Insaf. Sorry, I was a member of PTI, of Istiqlal, of PTI, about the mandate theft. The first section talks about how many seats PTI actually won based on Form 45s, which is the actual tallied result of each polling station. In the National Assembly, they won 228 seats. This includes the seats they should have gotten on the reserved seats for women and the minorities. In Punjab, they won 269, in Sindh 53, in KP 128, in Balochistan 6. The total number of seats of the one National Assembly and four provincial assemblies is 684. This number reduces to less than half in the official results announced by the Election Commission to 310. The 228 in the National Assembly goes down to 93. Punjab goes down to 116 from 269. In the Sindh, down to 10. In KP, down to 91. In Balochistan, 0. Total seats stolen is 374. This is perhaps the most brazen highway robbery of history in which the people's mandate has been stolen. Uh, it's really important to understand. I'm not going to go to the second and the third one, but I'll go to the third one, not to the second one, because the second one really is the elected seats that PTI won in the National Assembly, 180 now down to 93, and so on and so forth in the Punjab, Sindh, and KP and the Balochistan assemblies. These seats have been reduced, but the PTI won a clear majority of 180 with its reserved seats 228, a clear two-thirds majority. In the Senate, they should have gotten 27 seats based on the actual seats that they had won in the national or provincial assemblies. This is down to 9, and the number of seats stolen is 18. Dr. Bangesh, this and every day, today, yesterday, a week ago, they are people who do the recounting as per the election commission and keep chipping away at the seats that the PTI has won, officially notified. Members have taken oath. They are sitting in the assembly, and yesterday one was eliminated. 3 days ago, two were eliminated, and they're trying to reduce. Yes, Dr. Bangish.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As you showed in that chart from PTI that they released, which is actually based on what is referred to as Form 45. And
Correct.
for our non Pakistani viewers, it's important to understand what Form 45 is. This is a form that actually from each constituency, the official form released by the presiding officer indicating the number of votes each candidate has secured. And so,
Per
if let's
polling
say
station. Per
every
polling
polling
station.
station, every
Okay.
polling station. So let's say in a particular constituency there are 300 polling stations. That means that the sum total of those 300 polling stations is put together, and that determines which candidate has actually won. And it's not only
And and so just for clarify, there will be 300 Form 45s for that constituency.
correct, and each form is actually stamped by the presiding officer, signed by the presiding officer, and each candidate has to sign it as well. That means that there is absolutely no way to dispute that Form 45, which has been officially handed over to the candidates. Now, based on that, the PTI total came to 181 seats in the National Assembly. And as you mentioned, if you add the reserved seats, that comes to 228.
Yeah.
So PTI actually, out of an assembly of 366 seats, it had an absolutely clear majority of more than two-thirds. But then this whole thing was reversed overnight, and the winning candidates were declared as losers. And so this mandate of the people was stolen. We need to keep in mind that this happened despite the fact that prior to the elections, there was so much interference, so much rigging, so many hurdles and obstructions put in the way of PTI candidates in order to even register themselves as candidates. Some were kidnapped, some were had to disappear, and then even
Their
uh,
symbol was stolen away,
exactly, their
election
symbol
symbol.
was taken away. The courts were involved in this theft, of course, all on the orders of the army or the army chief and a coterie of his generals, because they simply did not want PTI to win the elections. Despite all of these hurdles and Imran Khan being in prison, despite all of this, the people came out in very large numbers. They voted, they supported PTI. They knew that PTI is the party that stands for them because Imran Khan is an honest person. He is for the people. He wants to do good for Pakistan and its people. And yet, these thieves and bandits actually stole the mandate of the people. And these thieves have been imposed on Pakistan, who, incidentally, in the last 2 years have actually ruined Pakistan's economy, and they are going to ruin it further. They're running away to the IMF to seek some loans, etc. But that's not going to solve Pakistan's problem. So basically, Pakistan's basic problem is that the people's mandate has been stolen. The country is going in a wrong direction. The army has taken over, usurped power, but as cowards, they don't come in front. They use these their touts and these their puppets in front so that they can give this impression to the world that, well, there is a civilian government and they are making the decisions. The courts are working normally. That's not the case. The courts are not working normally. The courts are heavily restrained. They are dictated to by the army. The politicians are acting as handmaidens of the army, as their servants and slaves and bootlickers. The same applies to the bureaucrats and the police and so on. So we have a total mess in Pakistan, out of which the only way out is if Imran Khan were to be released and the people's mandate respected. And if it doesn't happen, then Pakistan has a very, very grim future, if any at all.
Sir, this is a very interesting observation that you've made about the future of Pakistan and a grim future, because this future will not only affect Pakistan, it's going to affect the region. An unstable Pakistan, which is nuclear armed, in the hands of a rogue army, which is nothing less than a Italian mafia mob. Certainly, at least those people who are aligned to Asim Munir, who is the grand mafia don of dons, and these generals and those who are aligned with him. There is no way that this country's descent into chaos will not impact the neighborhood, will not impact the Middle East, will not impact other aspects and other regions, including Europe, Western Europe, including North America. The Pakistani diaspora is huge in the US, seething with anger. In Canada, seething with anger. I fear that some stupid, idiot, young, hot blooded person will point the finger towards the Canadian government or towards the American government or towards the US and Canada, saying, it is because of you that my leader is in behind the bar. It is because of you that this has happened in Pakistan. I may do something incredibly stupid and incredibly serious that would result in consequences that we don't even want to think about. I think the West has to open its eyes. It must not let Pakistan descend into chaos. It must not allow the generals to rule over Pakistan. It must ensure that the mandate is handed back to the people of Pakistan, which they rightfully won. Uh, so here comes the question after this observation. The EU, European Union, sent a delegation to observe the elections. They submitted a report on the rigging and they refused to make it public, taking such an absolutely stupid stance that when we send big missions, we publish the report. When we send small missions, we don't publish the report. We just give it to the government. I mean, I didn't know the EU also ate donkeys, because in Pakistan we say people whose minds don't work, they ate donkey meat. Is the EU ambassador in Pakistan eating donkey meat? The lady Sylvia something. Is the EU who's issued allowed this tape to go? Are they? I mean, who are they trying to kid, Dr. Bangesh, sir?
What this indicates is that the West in general, that includes America, that includes Britain, that includes the European Union, etc., they are all in league with this rigging process. What they don't realize is that if, God forbid, Pakistan were to explode, and there is every possibility and probability that it might, uh, I want to draw their attention to what happened in Libya, for instance, in 2011, when Muammar Gaddafi's government was overthrown. Of course, he was a dictator. He was not an elected representative of the people. But the chaos that erupted basically spread to other countries and also to Europe. And so, if that kind of chaos is something that these countries want, then they would ignore and they would continue to go along with the kind of setup that has been imposed on Pakistan by these greedy generals in Pakistan. But if these countries, particularly Europe and America, and Britain, because these are countries where there is a very large percentage of Pakistani diaspora. And in addition, if let's say Pakistan were to implode and there would be a massive flood of refugees streaming towards Europe and other parts of the world, because there will be no future for the people in Pakistan. Even today, the people of Pakistan, there are literally, thousands of Pakistanis fleeing the country. I don't know what the number is, but I think it is more than a million last year. And these are actually talented individuals that have left Pakistan because they see no future for themselves. With the implosion in Pakistan, because people would see no future for themselves, it will not be only the talented people, but it will also be ordinary people. And they would basically create a lot of pressure in Europe, just as we see today from refugees streaming from Libya, refugees streaming from uh, Syria, from other places,
Afghanistan.
because they see no future in the areas where they are. And those are not countries where they have elected governments. Those are
Mhm.
countries which have faced civil wars, etc., and so many people have streamed out. It'll be much worse because Pakistan's population is nearly 250 million. That's a massive number of people. And so there is great danger if these European countries and America and Britain and Canada think, well, they don't want Imran Khan, they are quite happy with the military rulers, etc., then I think they have got their heads in the sand like ostriches. In fact, there is a very serious problem that they would face down the line. So they really need to think very clearly and hard.
And you're, sir, you're absolutely right. The social uh, bomb that is going to explode even in much harsher manner than it is in Western Europe, and cause all sorts of social upheavals, and uh, right wing anger and Nazi type low people coming in and saying, these refugees are illegal. They take advantage of our social welfare. Kill them. They're criminals and the gang wars. The EU is extremely stupid to have issued this statement. Look at this statement. When EU sends an election observation mission to a country like in Pakistan in 1997, 2002, 2008, 2013, 2018, the report is always public. But, and comma, for a small election expert mission like this year, the host government receives the report and makes it public at its discretion. The EU would welcome publication. This, this is what they write. This is how they hide behind the fact that they cannot make their report public. I mean, I am. This is ridiculous. I'm sick. Literally, sir. This is. It makes one throw up. Don't want to use this kind of harsh observations on a mainstream YouTube channel, but this is horrible. That this is the kind. This is how they treat us. we are still uh, we're still minions, we're still slaves, and maybe they're right to treat us like that because we behave like slaves in front of them. We cow down, we bow, and we scrape, and we lick their boots, and we feel very welcome when somebody who is white and blonde and blue-eyed and has a title of an ambassador to the EU or a counselor comes to my office and I'm the army chief, and I will bend backwards and crawl towards her or him to show my. It is, we're to blame. We were spineless, we're shameless. We have no right. Honestly, if we are like that, we have no right to exist. Coming to the last section, sir, this is this famous Donald Lu, who was part of this master plan to oust Imran, and he told our ambassador Asad Majid, allegedly, as disclosed in the cipher, which the Intercept disclosed, that if Imran is not removed in the vote of no confidence, uh, Pakistan will have a very tough time. But if he's removed, then we can do business with Pakistan, or words to that effect. He was called up by the Senate, by the House Foreign Relations Subcommittee, and after a great effort by overseas Pakistanis led by Sajjad Barki, the PTI focal person in America, to garner 100 signatures on this request, which went, and then he came a few days ago and spoke about the elections in Pakistan. And essentially, the Congress people were asking him, were these elections fair or rigged? Yes, sir.
Well, basically, what Donald Lu said in his testimony, he's basically, the second senior official in the U.S. State Department. So that's a very senior position, and he is in charge of what is referred to as Middle East, North Africa, and Central Asia region, in which Pakistan also falls. And so he is basically the State Department point man for dealing with affairs in Pakistan, and all correspondence, let's say, that emanates from the US Embassy in Islamabad or any CIA reports relating to Pakistan would go directly to him in the State Department. So he would have a complete picture of what is taking place. In his testimony, he did admit that that the U.S. has never said that these elections were free and fair. So he went up to that extent. But then he immediately qualified it by saying that, well, I've been in Pakistan. I was in Pakistan in the U.S. consulate in Peshawar in 1993, and there were, allegations of rigging even at that time, and there have been riggings of elections at other times. In other words, what he tried to convey was that election rigging is nothing unusual in Pakistan, and therefore we need not worry about it. This is really a very, very serious situation, because, as in fact Greg Kazar, the House of Representative member from Texas, pointed out to him, that look, when similar allegations were made about Venezuela, then America immediately took a very serious note. It sanctioned a number of people, it imposed sanctions on Venezuela. But in case of Pakistan, the US is soft pedaling. But Donald Lu sidestepped that issue altogether. The other more serious omission was that he completely denied that there was any cipher. He said this whole cipher thing is a myth, it's a lie, it's a conspiracy theory. Now, of course, he did not send the cipher. He basically had told the Pakistani ambassador on March the 6th, 2022, that if Imran Khan is not removed through a vote of confidence, then there will be serious consequences. These were his precise words, and these were the words that were communicated by Pakistan's ambassador Asad Majid to the Foreign Office. In fact, that message, I'm 100% sure, would have first been communicated by the defense attaché in Washington, D.C., who is a brigadier rank official, who would be there, who would communicate that directly to the army chief as well as to the ISI, that this is what the Americans want. In fact, in the Washington, D.C., the DA, the defense attaché, has actually, some people say, has a higher position than the ambassador himself. The ambassador is only a nominal head. It's the defense attaché that basically, manages communications between the U.S. and the army, because the U.S. wants to maintain its relations through Pakistan's army. So that message was clearly communicated to Pakistan. And of course, as we have seen, the very next day, a motion of no confidence was presented against Imran Khan in the National Assembly, March 7th, 2022. And then we know that on April the 9th, 2022, that motion was voted upon and Imran Khan was ousted from power. So we know that what was initially alleged, if we take that word, was actually acted upon. Now, if that demand was acted upon, then it clearly indicates
Before you
that.
go, before you go further, let me just say it is. This is Voice of America. I'm quoting from them. They say the leaked cipher identified the U.S. official leading the conversation as Donald Lu, Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia. If, and this is a quote from Donald, I think if the no confidence vote against the prime minister succeeds, all will be forgiven in Washington because the Russia visit is being looked on as a decision by the prime minister. Otherwise, I think it will be tough going ahead. The document quoted Lu as telling the Pakistan ambassador. So it's absolutely crystal clear. Sorry, sir, I just didn't want, I wanted to make sure that we also have the evidence to back up what you're saying.
Exactly. So the Voice of America actually is an official American channel. It's financed by the CIA, and also Ryan Grimm of the
The
Intercept had
intercept.
actually
Yeah. Yes.
actually on August the 5th, 2023, with the what's his name, Hussein
Murtaza.
Murtaza Hussain, the two of
Mm,
them actually had a detailed report about this cipher, the contents of the cipher, and they said that this information had been communicated to them from inside the Pakistani intelligence sources.
mm,
So, although they did not identify the source, but they did clearly indicate that this had come from inside the sources, because there are people within the Pakistan army who are very unhappy with this situation, and they wanted to let this information come out. So actually, there is no doubt about the fact that it was Donald Lu, who actually instigated the ouster of Imran Khan from power, even though, unfortunately, in the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee, when he was asked about this, he just flatly denied, and the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee chairman, Representative Wilson, basically agreed with him, and they
mm,
hushed this up. I can understand why they would do that, because
mm,
the US is not going to publicly admit that it instigated the overthrow of a foreign leader, because that's against America's law. And
mm,
so these officials would be held accountable then. It's against international law and also against America's law. So
mm,
no official is going to admit it publicly. I mean, just to give you an example, in August of 1953, the CIA engineered a coup against Dr. Muhammad Mossadegh, who was the prime minister,
Of
elected
Iran.
prime minister of Iran. And for more than 60 years, the US flatly denied that they were involved in it. It was actually Kim Roosevelt, who was the nephew of President Roosevelt, who had engineered this coup, brought about a coup against an elected prime minister of Iran. And then, after 60 years, it was Madeleine Albright who actually admitted that yes, we had done it, and she said it in the contest that this was a big mistake. If we had not done it, we probably would not have seen the Islamic Revolution in Iran. So you see that these things the Americans do, they would not admit for decades, and I don't think that publicly they would admit it. Although there is clear evidence that it was America that engineered Imran Khan's ouster, and we see the consequences of that right now in Pakistan.
Thank you, sir. So there we have it. A very interesting wrap up of the week. The EU ambassador thinking that the entire Pakistani nation are a bunch of idiots who don't understand what she is up to, or the EU is up to. Donald Lu says that all will be forgiven if the no confidence vote against Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan succeeds, and then says, I have nothing to do with it. And no congressman asked him, but Mr. Donald Lu, did you say these words in that meeting with Dr. Asad Majid? He could not have said no, because that would have been perjury, because that's an official document. It's now public, allegedly unofficially, an official document, unofficially public, but it is public. So it would have been very difficult for him to say so. Pakistan's mandate theft is going on. If Pakistan descends into chaos, watch out, Western Europe, watch out, EU, watch out, Canada, watch out, America. This is a very serious and a friendly and a sincere warning to you. Do not let Pakistan descend into chaos. Do not let the generals and Asimoni do what they do. Give the mandate. Allow, put every pressure that you have on these generals to give the mandate of the people of Pakistan back to them. Allow their representative government to administer, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. We don't care. In the next elections, let the people decide if these were people were bad, they were indifferent, and kick them out. But it is no one has the right to steal the mandate of the people of Pakistan under the constitution law. Thank you very much,
I
Dr.
just want to
Bangesh.
add that what I would say is that these Western governments and American government, Canadian government, British government should not back these criminals in power.
Yes, they shouldn't.
Let the people of Pakistan make their own decisions. Let them elect their own representatives. Like, right here in Canada, there is so much hoopla about the fact that the Chinese have been interfering in influencing certain, members of parliament in Canada, etc.
Yes,
There
yes.
is so much hoopla about this. Now, why is it that America does that, Europe does that, they interfere in Pakistan's internal affairs, and that's okay, and
Mm,
they support these criminals that have been put in power, these
mm,
mandate thieves,
mm.
these certified crooks and criminals, and that is something that is extremely worrying, because our demand is that these people should back off the West, America, Britain, France, these European countries. Let the people of Pakistan decide who they want as their rulers, because that's their choice and their right.
Yeah. And no one can predict the anger of an insane youth. No one can predict that. So please, we urge you to use everything in your power to not support and promote these thieves. Thank you very much, Dr. Bangesh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and all your loved ones. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless Pakistan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all those people who are fighting for a free democratic Pakistan and doing their jihad in Pakistan, which is very difficult under this fascist violence that pervades hundreds of thousands of homes. And may God ease the distress of those people who are in jail, the 10,000, some say 30,000 people in jail in Pakistan, women, young children, old people, Prime Minister Imran Khan, his wife Bushra. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease their distress, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant higher stations in the hereafter to all those who have lost their lives in fighting for a free democratic Pakistan. Pakistan Zindabad, Pakistan Paindabad, Ilahi Amin, Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz. Thank you, Dr. Bangish.
My pleasure. Thank you.